So the final step in this block practice is creating the compound selector. A compound selector allows me to write a rule for a specific div with its ID and then a specific HTML within just that ID. So for example, maybe I want to write a rule that is for the h1 tag inside of my header, but I don't want it to affect the h1 tag in other regions. So just so we can illustrate this, I'm going to go down to my footer and I'm going to change this text here into an h1 tag. So I'm going to highlight it and go down here and make it an h1. So now we have two h1 tags on our page. This is an h1 and this is an h1. And you can see over here in the code view that that is an h1 tag. So I'm going to go up to my where I have my CSS rules, and I'm going to place this rule right after my original header rule. It doesn't have to be there, but I think keeping all of the rules that are targeting the same area together really helps you stay organized, and especially when you're coming back to work on your project later on. It's going to help you if you have things grouped together. So I'm going to start off with the header, because that's what I'm targeting, and then I'm targeting inside it the h1. So that's a compound selector. And I'll just go ahead and close this out. And what I want to, just as a simple demonstration, is I'm going to change the color. So I'll choose color, and I'll take my color picker, so I can pick the same color that I have for the background. Try to have a little bit of consistency. And close that out. When I click over to here, you can see that this h1 now has the same color as my background. But if I scroll down here, this h1 does not have that color. So if I wanted that h1 to have a different color, I'm going to write a compound selector that targets the h1 in my footer. So if I wrote a rule, as we were doing before, for just h1, it's going to target all of the h1s in all of my regions. So the compound selector allows you to be more specific. So I'm going to go after my footer, and I'll put in footer h1, and let's give this one a different color. Lost my color picker, so I can just go to Code Hint Tools, choose Color Picker, and I'll just randomly pick another color to demonstrate that and close it out. And now let's go over here. This h1 stays the same color, and the one down here is a very dark color, and it has very little contrast, so I would not recommend using this kind of color scheme. I'm just doing it for the sake of example. So now we're going to move on to the images. What I would like is to write a rule that gives all of my images in my main a padding of 5. So I'm going to create that compound selector. I'm going to go up to where I have my main, and I'll create this right afterwards. Hashtag main, and then the HTML for an image is img, and I'm going to come down a line, and I want the padding to be on all sides, so I'm going to choose just padding, and I'll put 5px and close that out. And now when I click over here, we can see that I now have an even spacing of padding all around my images. Why does it look like more in the middle? Because it has padding of 5 on the left, and this one has padding of 5 on the right, and that makes a total of 10 pixels of padding in the middle. Let's add a background color to our image, to our main, and now we'll be able to see the result of this padding. So I'm going to add this actually to the image, to this compound selector. So I'll add background color, and I'm going to put in black. And now when I click over here, now you can really see the padding. We also see that this one particular image is not exactly the same size as the other ones. So let's talk about the Dreamweaver interface for a second here to be able to see what our image sizes are. If I click on an image, my property inspector changes, and here I have my width and my height. So I can see that all of these are 150 by 100, but when I click on this one, it's just 3 pixels smaller. So I want to make sure that this is unlocked because I don't want to constrain my proportions, I don't want to constrain my proportions. If I do, when I change this up to 100, it's going to bring that up to 155, and that gets wider. So that's not what I want. I'm going to undo that. And I will unlock it. And so I'm going to just change that to 100. And now it's the same size as the rest of them. Okay, so that's the end of the video for the compound selectors. So now you can really start thinking about all of the different elements on your page and how you could get the text to be a different color or to be a different font in one region versus in another region.